This is Livewire, and I'm Ray Tatter, and you have come to the right place at the right time. Sit down, because we're going to talk about something that's extremely important for you and the rest of us in California. It's called voting, and we have some wonderful guests from the League of Women Voters and from the League of Women Voters, from the county organization that puts together the county elections and the statewide, works with the rest of the counties to put together the statewide election coming up on what?
June 5th.
June 5th. Oh my goodness, it's coming right up. So stay tuned right after this. We'll be back to talk about good things. Wow, I have Paula Lee here from the League of Women Voters of the County of Sacramento, very important county in the great state.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you think? I think
yes.
so too. And I think it's important that California really show its stuff this year and gets out the vote.
Absolutely.
Good. So what is the League of Women Voters really going to do for this election?
Well, the League is always, for many, many years.
You're the first vice president on the big board, right?
Yeah, well, it's not a huge board, Ray, but it's the Sacramento County.
Well, the power.
And here we are in the capital city.
Yeah.
And the League, actually, for almost 100 years, we were born in 1920. That's why we have the name League of Women Voters. Mm-hmm. But we are an organization of men and women who are interested in public policy and interested in encourage citizen participation in government. That's what we do. So we're looking this election season to educate voters about voting and about specifically in Sacramento County, mm-hmm. the big Voters' Choice Act, which all eyes will be on Sacramento County. So we're very excited about getting the word out about the changes.
So is this voting act is just germane to Sacramento County?
Well, actually, this was passed by the California legislature. Uh-huh. 5 counties opted in this time. Uh-huh. Sacramento County is the largest of the 5 counties that have opted in, and so that's why all eyes are on us. This is modeled after Colorado, where all voters receive a ballot in the mail.
Sure.
And the goal is that it costs counties less to hold elections because we won't have the traditional voting places all over the neighborhoods, but also what we're really hoping is that it will increase voter turnout because there's so many new opportunities to vote, so many different ways to vote, and so many different days. Mm-hmm. It won't be just one day, Tuesday, and it won't be just one place, your neighborhood polling place, if you're a person that votes in person.
What does that mean? I got a packet in the mail, and it said something about voting. What was that?
Hey, this show couldn't be more timely because I just got my ballot. You just got your ballot, and so did every voter in Sacramento County. Now, if you have voted by mail before, you recognize this ballot when it comes in the mail in this white envelope.
That looks exactly like the one I showed to the camera there.
That's right. Where's the camera?
There, camera number 2 or whatever. There we go. Did you get one of those? They're not saying anything now.
All registered.
We don't have the feedback thing working, but
all registered voters got one.
Okay.
Now, right. if you've voted by mail in the past, you'll recognize it. But if you have not voted by mail in the past, and those are the people we really want to talk to tonight, mm-hmm. the 36% of Sacramento voters that have not voted by mail. If they haven't heard about the new changes, then they won't know what to do with this ballot. And
right. Well, I want to know because I don't vote by mail. I usually make sure I get in there to sign. Yeah, I am there.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I might be able to do this because it saved me a lot of trouble if I could just vote by mail.
Yes, yes, but you could still vote in person if you want to as well. It just won't be at the same location necessarily where you've gone in the past.
Okay, so that means I vote well and often I get 2?
Absolutely
Okay.
not. Oh, Courtney from the elections department will be here after me, and she'll talk.
She'll slap my hand for that.
She'll talk about the security of the election system because
so important.
That is
That's
really
why people
important.
have been so down about voting. They don't know whether or not the Russians are voting for us or we're what. You know, I mean, it is such a what do you call that? Disinformation campaign that we get tired. And sometimes when people get tired, even though they have been great voters in the past, they say,
well.
But we're not going to let that happen in California.
Absolutely not. Certainly not in Sacramento. So voters, if you are a voter that has never voted by mail, this white envelope, please don't throw it away. Open it up. It is your official ballot. And a few days ago, maybe you would have received this pamphlet.
I got one of those too.
Yes, yes.
I've been through it. It's neat.
Yes. This one has a lot of information for you. But let me tell you what you do with your ballot first, the different ways that you can
use it.
First of all, it's kind of fun to sit down with your family if you're all voters in the family and go through the ballot in the luxury of your home instead of the polling place, and think ahead a little bit. In fact, the League of Women Voters has lots of resources to help you with this ballot. You know, a lot of people think that they have to answer or vote on everything that's on a ballot, but the ballots can be long. There's many races on this ballot. I'm not going to go through them, of course, but you don't have to vote on everything, and I think that's really important for voters to know. If you want to vote for one race, that's fine. You don't need to know everything, although, as I said, I'll provide some league resources for more information for voters.
Yeah, a lot of people just kind of guess. I've talked to a lot of people, and they say that I don't know what that is, I forgot, I may have read it, I'm just going to fill in that person of my party.
Well, if you know the candidate and you're sure who you want to vote for, but if you don't know the candidate, I'll be sure to go over those resources before I leave.
Okay.
But after you do fill out your ballot, what you want to do is put it in this pink envelope.
Okay.
That is how you are going to cast your ballot in a number of ways. But it's really, really important, as Courtney, I hope, will go over from the elections department, that the ballot be signed. And a lot of people, the elections department tells us, forget to sign their ballots. So it's really important that you sign your ballot, because they will be matching this signature with your voter registration signature.
Okay.
And that's part of the security. So then, after you have filled this out, signed your ballot, then you'll need to cast it. And this is where the exciting new opportunities are. In the past, you would just mail it with 2 stamps. You can still do that, put 2 stamps on it and mail it. But if you'd like to save the postage, and for me, I like the Dropbox or Vote Center idea better, because I like to see it go right into that secure Dropbox.
Yes, a lot of people do. I do. That's why I go down there.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, Dropboxes have been few and far between in the past. Like I would drop mine at Sacramento City Hall, and maybe you dropped yours at the elections department, or you can drive by and throw it in. You can still do that. But now we have more drop boxes. So drop boxes will be throughout the county, and the elections department and this pamphlet here has all the locations for you. One thing I can tell the voters and your audience tonight to make it easy is, if you know where your county library is, then you can count on that being a drop box.
Really? Okay.
You need to go into the library.
It doesn't have to be, does it have to be just the main library?
No, all county libraries.
All county libraries. Well, it's not very far from my house. I could walk there.
Right, and now think, voters, where is your county library? And think about, that might be the place that you take your pink envelope and drop it in that secure drop box. You'll need to go most libraries with library hours.
Yes. Okay.
You can't
it's
drive.
Inside. It's not sitting outside.
Yeah. You can't drive by and drop it in a drive-by, but you'll have to go in. That's why it's more secure too.
Okay.
Now the third way, for people like you that have voted in person, you'll now have a vote center that you can vote in person, and these vote centers will be throughout the county, and they're full service. They're staffed by the county elections folks and former poll workers. And in the vote centers, you can do just about anything. You can register to vote, you can re-register to vote, which is a good idea if you're not sure if your signature, how you registered to vote, and if your signature will match.
So, and are those the telephone numbers to get to help?
Those are the league phone numbers. I think maybe the even better phone numbers, and that's some league resource information, but I think the better phone numbers about voting centers and drop box locations would be the elections department, which they'll be coming up next. So So these vote centers, you'll be able to register to vote, re-register. You can change your party affiliation. If you're not sure what your signature is, just re-register to vote. That's the best way to do it, so that your signature will match. And even if it's the last day in California now, we do have same-day voter registration. We don't recommend that you wait till the last day, and Courtney will agree. But if for some reason you are not registered on election day and want to vote, you can go to a vote center and register to vote.
Right away on the day you vote?
On the day of election day. Yeah, that's a new law in California. And Ray, if you spill your coffee on your ballots, or you lose your ballots, just go to a vote center. Another real key bit of information is that you're used to voting in your neighborhood, but now you can go to any vote center in the county and vote.
Oh, that's good. I actually, and one time in the past, have gone to the wrong neighborhood center to vote. You're not on the list there, sir. Where do you live? And I said, oh, you know, they changed the oh gosh. But this is great.
It's great for voters because if they do wind up in the wrong place, it doesn't matter anymore. They can vote. Their ballot will be printed on demand.
Good, and they can register and then vote at the same time. So it's really important now. This all leads to who's eligible to vote.
Oh, okay. Very important question. Only California residents and United States citizens are eligible to vote, but I'm glad you brought that up because there's a lot of confusion.
We have only one more minute.
Well, let me say permanent legal residents with green cards are not U.S. citizens. They are not eligible to register and not eligible to vote. But a lot of people are confused about having been convicted of a felony. They think they can't vote. That may be true in some states. It's not true in California. So we have this campaign ACLU is doing on Let Me Vote, and I just want to go over this. You can vote. There's only 2 reasons you cannot vote: if you are sitting in prison or you are on parole. That means if you have been convicted of a felony, you can vote.
Out of parole, you can vote.
If you're off parole, you can vote. If you're on probation, you can vote.
You did the time, you're okay.
If you did the time, you are eligible again. A lot of people think they're not.
Amazing.
So that's important.
Paula Lee, thanks so much. Wish you well. Thanks for all your hard work in making this a democratic country.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. We'll be back in just a few minutes after we have some important messages.
Going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather.
Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember?
Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just playing on trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
I tell people I have 3 kids, one of them's adopted, I just don't know which one.
I can't imagine having to be in a birth mother's position to make that choice.
You know, I was kind of just asking her, you know, what is your motivation? Why are you doing this? And she looked at me and she said, because you can give my son a life that I could not.
We always tell her, thank you. He is such a blessing to us.
Every day is just a ray of sunshine from him. So we're Chanda and Brian, and we chose adoption.
Okay, well, we're back with Livewire, and we're still on this wonderful thing called voting. Paula Lee was here, and she left me this little card, which is really kind of wonderful. It's a service provided, and it has the League of Women Voters of California Education Fund. And what it is it's called votersedge.org/CA. And it tells you what it can help, how it can help you to get your address on a personalized ballot if you want, to get in-depth information on candidates, measures, and who supports them, to check where, when, where, how you can vote. We can go over that, and we're going to go over that with Courtney Bailey, who is part of the system that provides us with the election. And then also you can keep track of your choices and use them to vote, to go over that document. We do that with that paper thing, my wife and I. And the little booklet, and we write little notes like, why didn't they say anything? Or
Good.
what is the so-and-so group? I don't understand who supports them. Share your choices and be part of a conversation. And I think that that's the important thing which separates California from a lot of places, in that we talk a lot about elections and we do vote. And voting records are going up, aren't they?
Yes, we are seeing a continuous increase of people registering and voting.
Ooh, that's good.
It's great to see.
It's so important. I mean, people sit around right now and they think, because of all of these things that are coming at us in terms of international politics and national politics and statewide things, that, this is just too much for me. I can't take part in it. But you have to, because it's the only way for us to move ahead as a people and to get things done and to vote for the right people who will make the right decisions for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we always see the highest turnout for presidential elections. But really, even the election that's going on June 5th, which covers gubernatorial candidates, U.S. Senate candidates, some local measures, some county candidates. Those are the people, those are the issues that affect your day-to-day life. So we really want to encourage people to make sure they turn out to vote on even these primary elections.
Yeah, people talk about the primary. Oh, I don't vote in the primaries. It's the same old stuff the next go around. So why should I do it twice? Which is not so. You'll set your mind will set that down, and then you'll make bad decisions maybe if you come back to the information late for the real show-up election, in November.
Yeah, the more information that's out there, the more you're aware, because for this election, it falls under the California's Top 2 Open Primary Act, which means the top 2 vote getters, regardless of party, will advance to the general election for the statewide contest.
So you're really voting for the people who are going to go at the. How many people are lined up to be governor?
For governor, we have 27 candidates.
Okay.
And for U.S. Senate, we have 32, which means a long ballot.
Too many good reasons to go and vote on June
5th.
6th.
5th, yeah.
Oh, wait, it's the 5th. Okay, now, what's this paper?
Well, yeah. Well, and that's the great thing, as Paula mentioned, where even if it does take you off guard, you didn't realize there's an election coming up, you can register and vote now, even after the 15-day close of registration, which historically in California, you had to be registered 15 days before the election for your ballot to count. Now you just realize, oh, hey, there's an election tomorrow. I'm not registered. Maybe I moved, need to update my information. You can now register and vote at one of our 78 vote centers. We have 18 vote centers that open up on May 26th.
Okay, and these vote centers are, how do I find how to get to one? I'm sure there's some, in the urban area here where we are, there's probably one within 10 minutes.
Even closer, we have Coloma Community Center is actually one of our 4-day vote centers in this building. Yeah. But you can find out which vote centers are closest to you in a few different ways. You can go to our website, which is www.elections.saccounty.net. You can also look in that county voter information guide that Paula pointed out earlier to find the locations. Even in your vote by mail packet, there will be a list of your vote center locations. elections.
And where they are.
Yep,
There's
so
a
that
little
will
map.
come in your mail ballot as well. We also have a great new app. If you look in the Apple or Android store, you can look for SAC Vote, and you can find your nearest vote center, and you can even view election results.
So we have the governors, you can, and I liked what Paula said earlier about, you don't have to vote for everything, but there are some really interesting statewide proposition, right? How many
Yes,
of those?
there are 5 of those
Okay.
for the June election, and there will be even more for November.
Okay, you got to watch those statewide propositions,
Yeah.
Vote no on this and your children will be taken from you. Or something like that.
Something like that, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
well, and it's good to talk over that.
Absolutely, and that's why, and Paula's organization does a great job of getting out information. So not only do the voters receive a county voter information guide, they receive a voter information guide from the state with that information, and then nonprofit groups like the League of Women Voters and other community organizations put together a lot of great resources.
Great.
So it is out there.
County election and the county elections for county government.
Yes, county government as well. Our district attorney will be on the ballot for June.
Boy, they're out stumping now. This is good. If you do it early, and maybe you'll get more votes, I think.
Absolutely.
So that's very exciting. And then what else? What other elections are there?
That covers Assembly and Senate. There's
That's
a few local measures depending on where you are in the county. So a lot of good stuff on that ballot that could affect your day-to-day life.
Good. And it has what's really great is that you can get that magazine, the little magazine that you put out, which has the pro and con, and read those, and then have you can vote right after that, can't you?
Absolutely. So as people are starting to receive their ballots in the mail, they can return them at any time. The drop boxes are ready to start receiving those during the facility's regular business hours, as Paula pointed out with the libraries. So you definitely want to make sure that you get those ballots in, because it is a popular misconception that we don't count vote by mail ballots. That is absolutely not true. In fact, what you see at 8 p.m. on election night are the vote by mail ballots that we have received early.
That's right.
So 8 p.m. election night, whatever we have in office, we release, and that is your election night results to start.
In these steps, you have, and I hope the other counties, there are 5 counties that are moving their election process into this easy, you can do it easily. You don't have to wait in line out in a hot sun to go in and vote. After you sign in, check your address in a place not far away from your house, but now you have these election centers.
Yes, these new voting centers, which are open 2 weekends before the election. We'll have 18 open, and then the additional 60 open the weekend before the election.
Okay.
That also includes Memorial Day. So even if you're a Sacramento City resident, but maybe you're up at Folsom Lake enjoying Memorial Day, you can go to a Folsom Vote Center and still get your Sacramento City ballot.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? That's great. That's great. Because that's where we're
pretty
going.
exciting. Oh, perfect. So we'll see you in Folsom.
See you at Folsom and vote. You can vote.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good. So what do you think? The turnout seems to be growing, and we can maybe do an all-time high with these steps.
That is our goal. 2014 did see a historic low turnout for the primary election. So, of course, in the 2016 presidentials, we always see an increase, but we are hoping now, with everyone receiving a ballot in their hand, that they will turn in their ballot, come out and vote. So we're hoping to see those numbers rise.
I think that's good. And what about accessibility, like people who have physical... There's other. I saw one said drive-by vote. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we definitely, the great thing about this new Voters' Choice Act is improvements on accessibility, making sure all vote centers are physically accessible. We do offer curbside voting.
Curbside voting.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, here's my vote.
Yeah.
Catch.
Close, yeah. But we do offer that if you can't access a vote center for whatever reason. And we also have new accessible vote by mail to vote independently and privately.
There's an English relay service. What happens with that?
So anyone can call in to receive assistance. You can check on your voter registration status. You can check on where your nearest vote center is or ballot drop box. So a lot of information, and a lot of information on accessible voting on our website as well.
Okay. Oh, God, this is actually the way it should be. It's good. And do you have to have your, when you go in, do you have to show anything?
No. So the only time you would have to show identification when you go into a vote center is if you didn't provide your driver's license or last 4 digits of your social security number on your registration
And you
form.
have to sign it for sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
you'd have to
absolutely.
sign it. But other than that, you are not required to show identification at the vote centers.
Well, Courtney Bailey, thanks so much for talking to me about this, and I'm glad that Paula Lee came along and we both got this information out to folks because it's so important that people vote.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Well, that's it for today, and we want to make sure that you do remember everything we just said, and if you don't, you can get these little things like the Voters Edge, votersedge.org/California, or contact the Sacramento County Elections Organization.
You got it.
Yeah. And learn how to vote and vote. We've got to go now, so we say goodbye. Be back with us next Wednesday at 5 with Livewire.